Um, Understand that you're leaving information behind because you're utilizing information as a tool and as a reason to follow up. Think about the multiple exposure process like dating. You don't want to be weird, right? You want to be a little bit creative. You want to share different pieces of information every time you follow up with them, whether it be via email or the mail. Most business owners, professionals, they're utilizing social media and they're utilizing email to receive and, quite frankly, to sort information, kind of figure out who they want to work with and what the information is. But compare it to the dating process, right? Be a little bit creative. Don't be over the top. Share different pieces of information. Make it different. Make it new. Make it novel, right? You follow with them every other day. If you're not able to reach them, follow up with them weekly. If you're not able to reach them then, follow them with every 2 weeks. Move it to monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, and annually. You do that, you graduate to that over the course of time. You stagger your calls, morning, early afternoon, evening, right? You leave messages perhaps every second or third call. You don't want to inundate their voicemail. You want them to remember you. You make sure your voicemails are polite, right? But you don't want to have a situation where you're leaving 3 and 4 voicemails every 2 days. That becomes a problem because you're filling up their voicemail, and at this point, guess what you're doing? You're annoying them. And so next time you call them, you're probably going to hear the message of, look, I'm not interested. I don't have time. Please stop calling me. You don't want that, right? Because now the door is locked and you're waiting for that new decision maker or that new whoever to sit in that seat, and that transition might only happen every 3 to 4 years, and you have time for that. So here's the thing. In terms of the referrals, and especially with HR directors, so you're not able to get the appointment right then and there. Part of the reason why you still want to be polite and you don't want to inundate their voicemails, because at some point you may just ask, look, so if you don't mind me inquiring, 'cause I know you're busy, I am too, and I know there may be different times of the year in which you evaluate your employee benefits. When is your enrollment period, right? Find out when that enrollment period is and maybe call a couple months before then. So be aware of that. Okay, so there's a book that I'm going to encourage you to read. There's a book that, in my humble opinion, you must read if you want to be successful at cold calling and turning cold to lukewarm and turning lukewarm into warm. And if you don't read this book, I'm not even going to be coquettish about it. Shame on you. And look, there's no, I'm not talking from a moral standpoint, but in business, there's just consequences, right? At the end of the day, in business, it's just about consequences, right? There are things you do and there are things you don't do. And they all lend themselves to consequences, right? So there's no right or wrong. There's just consequences. Read Bob Burg, Endless Referrals. Read Bob Burg, B-O-B-B-U-R-G, Endless Referrals. That book is absolutely incredible. Yep, it's a shameless plug. I don't derive any monetary benefit from telling you to read the book. Read the book, right? If you are going to cold call, you must read that book. It is probably one of the most effective tools that I've read in 15 years of reading a multitude of books in terms of how to conduct yourself in the cold market. And it will help you take your cold calling to the next level. It'll help you develop a comfort with it, better understand what the goal is for the call in the first place, better understand how to fine-tune your language, and then, of course, The Fortune Being in the Follow-Up is one of the best books that coaches exactly how to follow up with individuals. So this was an initial salvo. Obviously, this call needed to be 3 to 4 hours, and probably that still wouldn't have been sufficient. But hopefully you've received enough information to get started, right? To have a better idea of what the process looks like. You have a simple, breathing, working script, right? That's a script that breathes. It's alive. Over the course of time, you're going to find the language and diction that's most comfortable for you. But what I'm also going to tell you is, please don't do the salsa. Stick with the two-step. Stick with the two-step. Keep it simple. Don't deviate too much If you're going to utilize the scripts I've shared, don't deviate too much. Don't change too much of the language. Don't become too colorful or too long-winded, right? And I'd say good luck. What I'm going to say is I celebrate your success in advance. I'm going to end with one last warning. Look, if you don't read Bob Burg's book, Endless Referrals, if you're not asking for referrals, you're going to remain, and you deserve to remain, in cold calling purgatory. And you don't want to be there. So, with that being said, have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this call. Goodbye for now.